every night, at exactly 10:47 p.m. When most of the town's lights had dimmed and the world had started whispering instead of talking, the last train left the small mountain station of Silver Pine Junction. It was not a fast train. It did not rush. It did not compete. It simply glided through valleys covered in snow, past sleepy pine trees, under a sky full of quiet stars, and on this particular winter night, the train carried a handful of passengers, each one tired in their own special way. The conductor was a tall, gentle man named Mr. Hollis. He wore a navy coat, polished shoes, and a silver watch that ticked with polite confidence. Mr. Hollis loved the last train. He loved the hush of it, the way the doors closed with a soft sigh, the way the wheels hummed against the rails like a lullaby. He often sighed, this train doesn't carry people, it carries dreams. Nobody was ever quite sure what he meant, but tonight, they would understand. There was a young woman by the window, wrapped in a thick scarf, returning home after a long week in the city. There was an elderly man with a small suitcase and a book he had already read twice. There was a mother and her small son, who was fighting sleep with heroic determination. And there was a baker named Thomas, who smelled faintly of cinnamon and exhaustion. The train doors closed. The engine gave a low, Hentler rumble, and slowly, very slowly, the last train began its climb into the mountains. Outside, snow fell softly. Not in a storm, not in a ruse, just quiet flakes drifting lazily down. Inside the train, the lights were warm and golden. The heater hummed. The wheels clicked rhythmically. Click, click. The sound was steady, reliable, like a heartbeat made of metal and patience. The little boy across the aisle tried to stay awake. "I'm not sleepy," he whispered dramatically. 30 seconds later, he was asleep against his mother's shoulder. The elderly man smiled and closed his book. The baker loosened his scarf. Even the young woman by the window stopped checking her phone and simply watched the snow-covered valleys glide by. As the train curved along the mountain tracks, something magical but very quiet happened. The mountains seemed to lean closer. The snow reflected moonlight so softly that the entire valley glowed. It felt as though the world had wrapped itself in a thick white blanket. Mr. Hollis walked down the aisle, checking tickets gently, careful not to disturb anyone. He adjusted a scarf here, closed a curtain halfway there. He moved like someone who understood that nighttime was sacred. Halfway through the journey, the train slowed, not because of danger, not because of trouble, but because a very stubborn mountain goat had wandered onto the tracks. The goat stood there confidently, chewing snow-covered grass, completely unimpressed by modern transportation. The train stopped with a soft sigh. Mr. Hollis stepped outside. "Sir," he said politely to the goat, "this is the last train of the evening." The goat blinked, chewed, considered, and slowly, very slowly stepped aside. Mr. Hollis tipped his hat. The train continued. Inside, none of the passengers woke. The interruption felt like part of the lullaby. As the train climbed higher, dreams began to bloom quietly in each carriage. The baker dreamed of warm ovens and perfect bread rising effortlessly. The elderly man dreamed of dancing at a party from 50 years ago, his shoes light and quick. The young woman dreamed of arriving home to laughter and open arms. The little boy dreamed of being the conductor of the very same train, blowing the whistle proudly as mountains bowed before him, and the train carried all of it, carefully, like fragile snowflakes. At the highest point in the mountains, the train paused briefly on a bridge overlooking the deepest valley. Below, the world looked untouched, still, silent. Mr. Hollis stood at the front window and whispered, "This is my favorite part, because here, the train felt less like a machine, more like a moving cradle, rocking gently, back and forth, back and forth. Click-clack, cleek, clack." Just before dawn, as the sky began turning pale blue, the train descended toward the final station. One by one, passengers stirred gently. The baker stretched. The elderly man adjusted his coat. The young woman blinked sleep from her eyes. The little boy smiled, still half in his dream. The train slowed, softly, peacefully, and came to a stop. As the passengers stepped off into the crisp morning air, they all felt something unusual. They felt rested. Not just from sleep, but from stillness, from slowness, from a journey that did not rush them. Mr. Hollis checked his silver watch. 10:47 p.m. would come again tomorrow, and the last train would glide again. Through snow, through silence, through dreams. Because some journeys are not about arriving quickly. They are about resting along the way. The world often moves fast, but somewhere there is always a quiet train, moving steadily, carrying tired hearts through snowy valleys, reminding us that it is okay to slow down, to breathe, to drift. If this cozy story made you feel calm and peaceful tonight, please follow our page for more relaxing, sleep-friendly stories. Subscribe so you don't miss the next bedtime journey. And drop a comment below. Would you take the last train through the mountains, or would you rather stay in the snowy valley? Thank you for listening.